What have you done that your parents punished you for, but it was totally worth the punishment? Teacher in middle school tried to write me up for Saturday school for talking during an exam when the person who had done it had already fessed up. I asked him why I had to spend a Saturday in detention when someone else had already admitted to it. He told me do not question your elders and eat the consequences you were fed by them. So I crumbled up the pink slip and ate it in front of him. My punishment was my mother buying me a spiral notebook for dinner. At my 11th birthday party, my stepsister's son, who was also 11, hit me in the back of the head with a croquet ball, on purpose. Once I stopped crying, I punched him in the face hard enough to bloody his nose. My mom spanked me for it, no regrets. He was a mean little crap who was always doing stuff then blaming it on me. After I fought back, he pretty much left me alone. And no, he didn't get in trouble for hitting me with the ball. I dish soaped my trampoline to make it super slippery, made a mess of the grass underneath but was the best hour of my childhood. I used to put really thick socks on and jump around on my trampoline when it had snow ice on it. A hard layer would freeze to the bottom of my socks and I could pretend I was ice skating. One time, my younger brother told our mom I hit him. Just walked into my room and started screaming about me hitting him. I hadn't even looked at him. So of course, mom comes in, won't hear me at all, and immediately grounds me. My younger brother has this crappy grin on his face, and I thought, frick it, I'm already getting punished for hitting him. So mom's like, you're grounded for hitting your brother. I turned to him and punched him as hard as I could in his sternum. He freaking dropped. Then I go, alright, I'm grounded, and walk away. Oddly enough, mom didn't say anything at that point. I like to think she realized what was up. Bonus, my brother never pulled that crap again. Consequences. If you're gonna do the time, you may as well do the crime. When I was 18 I told my mom I was staying over at a nearby friend's house. Instead, I drove 4 hours away to go to a dance with my boyfriend, then stayed overnight with all my friends, including boyfriend, in a different city that was 2 hours away. Mom was not happy. I was banned from going pretty much anywhere except work for a while. Had a house party at 15 when my parents went away. It was a great party. Would have gotten away with it if a boy didn't break a pane of glass on my dad's greenhouse. Was only grounded for a week and went 50/50 on the pane with my twin sister. When I was probably about 6 or 7 my stepsister had one of the dolls that pees when you give it water so you can change its diaper. So I poured water in its mouth and then blew on the doll's dong to make it spray water. I thought it was pretty funny. My dad did not. I put 308 cartridges worth of smokeless powder in my mom's ashtray that she keeps outside. I still remember the scream and laugh. Took the car out on the Joyride with my buddy when I only had my learner's permit. It was worth it because we got to drive to the local park where everyone hung out at to show how cool we were. They only caught me because when I was backing up I backed up into a hillside full of weeds and there was some weeds hanging from the tailpipe they noticed when they got home from work. When I was a kid in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, I saw an opportunity to get back at my sister, who wasn't always kind to me. My mother had an old wig from the 60s. I made it look like there was somebody in my sister's bed by putting pillows under the blankets and letting a bit of wig poke out. I had to work fast because she was just in the other room, and I knew she'd be going to bed soon. She really freaked out. I think she was genuinely scared. I don't remember what my punishment was, but I know I got punished and I didn't care. It felt so good to pull one over on my sister for once. My father told me if I asked are we there yet I'd get a beating. I asked have we arrived yet, totally worth the beating. Aunt of mine on my dad's side used to bully my mother a lot. Very condescending and belittling, so much so that I recognized this as a young child. My dad would put a stop to it when he was around, but he worked a lot. One day this aunt was in the kitchen on the phone and I burst in, wearing full plastic armor, helmet, shield and sword and stabbed her right in the butt. She was heavily overweight and I managing to jam it in there for full effect, bending the sword just above the handle, and I believe I managed a slight butt punch too. She jumped up a remarkable height considering her bulk and let out a Wilhelm scream to rival any. I was punished, grounded, scolded and told to apologize. But after she left I wasn't grounded and I heard my parents laughing about it when I was in bed. Sounds like one of those instances where they wish they could have done the same thing to her sometimes. I changed the autocorrect on my dad's iPhone to change yes, no, or okay to suck a fat one. Hilarity ensued as he texted that to people throughout the day. My friend's mom was a teacher at CCD Sunday school on Monday and made hello say what's up B. She texted one kid's mom. They had never met in person. And it read what's up B. Your kid wasn't here today yada yada yada. They laughed to this day. I had a, fortunately short-lived, shoplifting phase when I was 8. I would often steal gum and candy from stores and got away with it for weeks. It came to an end when I got cocky and tried shoving a giant bag of gummies in my pocket. A man caught me, and he looked at me with a concerned face, asking, "Are you really going to do that?" He didn't seem like he was going to snitch on me, but he didn't need to. He scared me so much that I put it back and my mom caught me pulling it out of my pockets. She finally realized why I kept having candy when before she accused my grandma of buying me excessive candy in secret. I was not allowed to watch TV, play video games, nor go to any friend's house for a month. I learned to never steal again. I once stole a candy bar from a corner store just to see if I could. I felt so guilty that I stole it back where it belonged. I was at this summer camp for kids 5-12 or so. I was one of the oldest kids at the camp. One kid had a birthday party and brought a pinata. I grabbed a bunch of chocolate candy. Then I put some in my mouth to soften it and then spit it out in front of these kids. I convinced them I didn't poop normally and this is how I pooped. Kids got freaked out and they had to call my mom to pick me up. She was freaking livid. Another time at school during the winter I brought some fake blood from Halloween to school. We had these retiree recess monitors. I laid in the snow and put fake blood all around me. I had my friend go get the monitors and when he saw me, he fainted. My mom was a teacher at the same school and was so peed. I drop kicked my little brother into the entertainment unit in the lounge room because he was being a butt. Still worth being smacked with a wooden spoon. I remember one year in my teens I wanted to have a party. My parents said no as they were out of town. I still had friends over. They got home at 11 and I said it would be rude to call and wake up everyone's parents to send them home. Totally worth the near midnight argument. I made fake report cards in high school and would sell them to my neighborhood friends. Word got out and I was making at least 20 plus per period and making $40 a pop. However, our end of year report card is mailed out and almost everyone's parent intercepted them in the mail and headed to the school to dispute them because they were wrong. School admin found out it was me that was making it because some kids ratted me out but didn't punish me and pretty much left that up to my parents to handle. It was senior year and I graduated, but I did this for 4 years. I remember my dad initially yelling at me about it but within 15 minutes we were just discussing how I was making money doing it and my real grades weren't even that bad. He even mentioned that school admin was impressed by my work and said it was the best fakes they've ever seen. I was able to build a great gaming PC that summer due to all the money I made and my parents weren't even mad. It even seemed like they were kinda proud lol. He grounded me that entire summer which maybe lasted for 2 weeks before they just stopped enforcing it. I'm 28 now and we still laugh about that time. Best parents. Told my mom hurry up be at a gas pump when I was 6 years old. Daycare in the ghetto is freaking sick. I didn't know dead kids could use Reddit now. In school we had a cup of grapes and someone dared us to put them in the microwave. Everyone else was being a bee about it so I said frick it, put them in there for 8 minutes. 3 minutes later some teacher opens it and smoke pours out. I got ice and my parents grounded me for a month. Home party. Missed a spot while cleaning afterwards. Parents knew I threw a party. Anyway the party got me laid with my school crush back then, so not even mad cleaning the house for a week. When I was young, like 6-7, I started taking a piece of gum from a store without paying for it. It wasn't like a pack of gum. They were these small rectangles wrapped in silver paper with a Hello Kitty label. I'd only take one, and I'd put it in my pocket until we got home and I would chew it in my room while I played with my dolls or whatever. I was very secretive about it. I probably did this 4 times or so without getting caught. Well, the next time we went to that store, I saw this adorable tiny pair of Hello Kitty scissors in a plastic pouch with a keyring. They weren't much bigger than the gum pack. So I went for it, put them in my pocket, along with a gum, and went about our day. That night at bath time, I got in the tub, and a few minutes later my mom came in to get my clothes to wash them. I had already chewed the gum, but left the scissor pack in my pocket. She found the scissors. She asked me where they came from. I burst into tears and told her I had taken them from the store. I probably got a spanking, but that wasn't the thing that hurt most. The next day, she drove me back to the store with money to pay for the scissors and for the gums that I also confessed to stealing. She made me talk to the manager and tell her what I did and that I had come to pay for everything I had taken. The manager was very kind and accepted my money. We totaled it up, got a receipt and change, everything. Then she handed me the scissor packet since I had paid for it. I cried because I felt so bad, but also because she had been so nice. But my mom took them away. She said that I did something wrong and that while I was already punished, I didn't actually pay for them. She did. So she took the scissors and put them in her jewelry box, where they still are. 30 years later, punishment was worth it because I stopped stealing. My mom still holds it over my head. Kind of a nice thing when you think about it. My mom was shouting at me about something and, as sometimes happens, 10-year-old thought it was hilarious and couldn't keep a straight face. So when she said you're skating on thin ice, my smart butt replied nope, I'm knee deep in ice water. Point out they were wrong. My brother and I got a whooping because all day we were fighting and not doing our chores. Our fights always ended in blood. The whooping themselves never really hurt. My dad would explain to us why we're being punished and tell us he was disappointed. That hurt more than the actual whooping. Well, I get whooped. I don't cry, but I feel bad. My brother, although older than me, was always very emotional, and as soon as my dad started talking to him, he was already in tears. After he gets his whooping, my dad catches me and my other brother making fun of him for crying. I got whooped again, and a bit harder. My dad turned me around, looked into my eyes and said, "You never make fun of your brother." I felt horrible and I totally deserved it. I went completely mental on a bully and beat the ever-loving crap out of him. When they, teachers, finally got to me, I had him against a fence, him on the ground, and me jumping up and down on him holding the top of the fence. I was punished, but as I was being praised, they all knew he was a bully. I was 10. I remember when my mom answered the phone, and I heard her telling someone that she didn't think I'd do something like that. I got curious and snuck to a different room to pick up another handset and quietly listen in on their conversation. All I know is that the computers were working when she got here, the lady explained. "How do you know it was her?" asked my mother. "If you didn't see her do anything." Well, it had to be her. None of the other girls even know how to use the computer. Apparently, every computer in the library network had its hard drive formatted, and because this was in the days before the cloud, they were pretty screwed. My mother continued to maintain my innocence, and reluctantly, begrudgingly, the library lady backed down. I hung up then, and not long after, my mother came to stand in the doorway to my room. She glared at me for a long moment, then she burst out laughing. "You're so grounded," and kept laughing as she walked away. From what I hear, it took them 6 months to get their computers up and running again. I earned a lifetime ban from the library. To this day, my mother still laughs when she tells the story. She later told me that the library lady was what we would now call a Karen. And because I spent a lot of time at the library, my mother had to deal with Karen and her BS far too often. Apparently, mother was thrilled that someone took Karen down a peg. I punched a kid in the face who had been harassing me with another boy. He pulled out my chair from under me as I sat down. I told him to leave me alone or I would punch him in the face. He said do it and I did. What he didn't consider is that I grew up in a scrappy household and I know how to throw a punch. He got all peed off and punched his friend in the kidney, which threw him in the hospital. I got 3 days of in-school suspension and my mom took away my cell phones for 2 days lol. I went to a neighboring town and pretended to be a student at the high school for a whole day. Kicked it with some buddies I had over there and told some slick lies so all the teacher bought that I moved in on the third to last day of school lol. I even got a free lunch because I told the lunch ladies my number wasn't in the system yet and I didn't have cash. Got a call from my superintendent the next day who was peed. Almost didn't let me walk for graduation, and I was valedictorian. I ended up doing like 20 hours of community service at the school I trespassed on. Just hung out with the dope janitor who talked mad crap on the principal that got me in trouble. Spent 3 days painting the gym while they had cheerleading tryouts. Overall, I'd say the punishment just makes the story even funnier, which is exactly what I was going for. This sounds like a cross between Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Breakfast Club, with a twist. My first GF and I, both 14 years old, were talking late at night and she invited me to come visit, so I took my dad's car. Fell asleep at her place and her dad had to go pick my dad up in the morning as I was not old enough to drive. Got grounded, but still worth it. When I was a lot younger, there was a party at my house and a bunch of us kids were running around in the basement. The basement had divided into 2 factions because before the party I put every dangerous toy in one backpack. Half the basement was after the backpack, and the other half was trying to defend it. We were at this for a solid hour and a half before somebody of the offensive team had made off with the backpack. So I threw my plastic shield at his face, Captain America style. I got yelled at a lot because of that, but if that kid had gotten away with the backpack, many more kids would have been injured. Worth it. You have been visited by the healthy spirit of exercise. Boy, you will burn all calories today. If you comment blessed be the health hound, like and subscribe, you magnificent person.